Now it's time to learn how to turn our boards on and start riding. Now it's also going to be important that before you start getting on the board, that you learn how your board works with the remote. You're going to see that with the remote, it's going to have a way to push it forward for speed and pull it back for braking. Now, before you stand on the board, you want to get a feel for the acceleration of your board. So just stand off of the board, use the remote to see how fast the board is going to accelerate and how fast it's going to brake. This will give you an idea of what it's going to be like riding the board. Now, every remote is going to have different speed modes. There's going to be a low speed mode, there's going to be a medium, there's going to be a high, sometimes even more, right? So you want to always start in the low speed mode. You also want to start in the lowest brake mode if there's more than one brake mode, because you don't want it to be so jerky that it flings you forward off the board. You want to do this until you feel comfortable with the speed mode and the brake mode, and then you can adjust it from there to get it to a point where you feel comfortable both accelerating and braking so that you can always stop in time. Right now I have my board set to low mode, so let's get going. I'm going to gently accelerate the board here. And as you can see, I've got a nice smooth ride. You want to make sure that your knees are bent slightly. You don't want them to be locked, and you also don't want to be down here. You want to have slightly bent knees and just put a little bit of pressure on your front foot so that you're not leaning back, because you don't want to go flying out. But you also don't want to be leaning too far forward and end up flying off the front of the board. Now, the most important thing here when you're starting to ride is knowing that you can jump off of the board and bail without, falling over, right? So here's the thing. You want to start at a speed where you are able to run off the board. I've seen it firsthand, where people are going too fast as beginners, and when they jump off of the board, they're not able to keep up with the running and they fall over, right? So you want to start at a speed where if you have to jump off, if you run into a pothole or whatever it may be, that you are going to be able to jump off and run it out, right? In addition to that, you also want to learn how to foot brake, right? Foot braking means that if you are riding and for whatever reason you suddenly can't brake, then you are able to slightly turn your foot forward and then put your back foot down in a way that, let me show you here, that allows you to brake, right? See, I'm dragging that foot. I'm not using the foot to stop me immediately, right? But I'm using it to drag me and slowly bring me to a stop. So once you master those lower levels, you're ready to start riding at some higher speeds when you feel comfortable. Just use your remote control to set yourself to those higher speeds. Keep in mind you will feel more acceleration, one that you're going to feel. So with some boards, you will feel more acceleration than others. In this AE board, we have at least 500 watts of power in here, which I find to be a good amount of acceleration for a beginner. In fact, it's a great amount of power to have for a beginner. It's going to, you have the 90mm wheels, which is pretty standard on street wheels for electric skateboards. You can go up higher. You can sometimes go to 120mm, but I find 90 to be enough. I've never had a problem with 90.